All right, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for attending today's Nonprofit Resource Hub webinar from Uh-Oh to Aha, Transforming Your Organization with Great IT. My name is Christine Deska, and I am the co-founder of Nonprofit Sector Strategies. We are a proud associate member of the, a proud founding member of the Nonprofit Resource Hub, or NRH for short. NRH is a trade association whose mission is to serve, be a resource to, educate, and connect its members to the nonprofit community. At the same time, NRH serves the nonprofit sector as a bridge connecting nonprofit organizations to each other and to helpful resources. And that's part of what we are here doing today. So what do we do for nonprofits? We provide nonprofits with resources to help their organizations grow and thrive. We share a directory of our associate members. These are vetted, trusted providers and advisors who deliver quality products, services, and education to the sector. We are continuously adding new associate members. Our associate members go through a rigorous vetting process to ensure the quality of their services. NRH also hosts networking sessions and events to foster opportunities for collaboration, both with other nonprofit organizations and with experts serving the sector. We provide a continuous flow of information and insights to keep nonprofits informed about key issues affecting the sector and about helpful resources. We offer expert advice and consultation to help organizations effectively further their missions. And NRH serves as a one-stop resource hub for nonprofits, providing a single access point for information and resources. The Nonprofit Resource Hub is itself a nonprofit. Our 5 founding members are represented on our board of directors. These founding members are Serini and Associates, accounting firm, Nonprofit Sector Strategies, that's me as co-founder, the Sir Tillman Ballin Law Firm, Triumph International Consultants, and Vanguard Insurance Agency. We encourage each of the nonprofits joining us for today's webinar and also to also join NRH as a nonprofit partner. There's no cost for this. It's very easy to join, and there's a form on our website. There are significant benefits, including having your logo and mission added to our website with a link, adding your events to our calendar, and maximizing your organization's ability to benefit from the opportunities and resources that NRH offers. Please join us, and you won't miss any other webinar invitations or anything going forward. So before I turn it over to our presenters, I'd like to thank our associate members for their vital support in everything that we do. We really wouldn't be able to achieve our mission without our stellar group of AMs. So those include PNP Staffing, Premier Payroll, Powered by Professionals, 5-Star Advertising, Morgan Stanley, Sterling Risk, Lee Nolan Law Firm, Sir Tillman Ballin Law Firm, Your Part-Time Controller, JMT Consulting, AM Exclusive Business Machines, Roundtable Technology, Help Good, Heller Fundraising Group, and Real HR Solutions. So without further ado, I am so pleased and excited to introduce today's speaker, Josh Peskay of Roundtable Technologies. Take it away, Josh, and thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, I'm actually going to turn off the screen share just for a second, just so we can kind of talk openly. I'll introduce myself and Roundtable. First of all, Christine and everybody at Nonprofit Resource Hub, thank you so much for inviting us to be associate members of the Nonprofit Resource Hub. And we're really excited to be able to present to your audience today. And also, I think to some folks who also came here through knowing Roundtable. And so welcome to all of you. And for those of you who don't know me or don't know Roundtable, my name is Joshua Peskay. My title is VCIO Cybersecurity. Essentially, I provide virtual chief information officer services and cybersecurity services to nonprofits all over the country. But Roundtable is focused in the Northeast. We have operations in Maine and in New York City, although again, we do serve organizations all over the country. And we're about 25 employees right now. We'll serve around 200 different organizations this year in various ways, delivering different kinds of IT projects, whether it's cloud migrations or cybersecurity technology or data assessments. And the core of our business is what's referred to as managed services, which we'll talk about as we go into our presentation today. I've actually been working in the nonprofit tech sector for 26 years now. And Kim Snyder, who's here today, but not on video, she might join us for Q&A or to poke her head in for different comments. But she and I have actually worked together for the bulk of those 26 years. And we started as what are known as accidental techies, which is a kind of term in the nonprofit space where you're someone who had one job at a nonprofit organization, but as technology became more and more important, people who seemed to be able to use technology well suddenly had technology roles at nonprofit organizations because you just had the skills, or as often as not, simply weren't afraid to try to tackle these difficult technologies. And so Kim and I both started as accidental techies, grew into professional technologists, and realized that we really enjoyed helping nonprofits solve these kind of difficult problems, either using technology or leveraging technology to solve meaningful problems that are related to your mission. So that's what we've been doing for the last 26 years. Just a kind of funny note, I had a presentation yesterday at the Nonprofit Technology Conference, which is hosted by an organization called the Nonprofit Technology Enterprise Network, or NTEN. And that conference now has about 2,000 people that attend it in any given year. I was there the first time in 1998 when it was called the Circuit Riders, and was about 40 people, all nonprofit technologists, kind of forming a community to try to figure out how we could all do this work a little bit better. So that's a little bit of the history there. So welcome. And what we're going to talk about today is how technology can help transform your organization from to aha, and we'll share that information with you. So let me make sure I'm sharing my sound. We'll go back into our slide and welcome everybody. And please go ahead and ask questions in the chat. I will take anything I possibly can, and would love to see your engagement throughout. All right, so talk a little bit about Roundtable. And one of the key differences, and this will come up time and time again today in terms of how we differentiate, is that, and you'll hear me talk about this over the presentation days, the idea that it's about a kind of partnership where, in order to be an effective technologist, whether you're an in-person IT like Wendell, who's joined us here today at Prospect Park Alliance, or whether you're an outsourced IT provider like myself and Roundtable, it's all about understanding what the organization needs, what's going on, what challenges the people are encountering in their day-to-day work, and how can you help them solve those problems by using technology, whether those problems are the using of the technology themselves, or that they don't have the right technology or aren't using it in the right way to solve their problems, and helping them figure out creative ways to do that. And that really requires a partnership and an ongoing relationship, not just fixing things when they break. And we'll talk about that over and over again. And that's really where Roundtable prides itself on really forming those partnerships. And that's what we're primarily interested in terms of the work that we do. And my screen, oh, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to cover today, what are the characteristics of high-functioning IT? How can having that high-functioning IT transform your organization? Some ways to assess what your current state is. By the way, apologies for siren noise, construction noise. My neighbors have decided, of course, to do some hammering and pounding today. I live a block from a fire station, so that in the normal times, there's a lot of sirens. Anyway, so apologies for all that. I'll mute myself when I can. So we'll talk about some ways you can assess what your current state is, and then also think about what's the return on investment for IT spending, right? So we want to now launch a quick poll just to take the temperature of folks that are here. So Christina, if you can go ahead and fantastic. So we want to ask, how well does your organization's IT currently function? So the highest level would be smooth sailing all the way, a little bit under that, happy enough, no complaints. 3 would, in the middle, predictably unpredictable, then it hurts, and then at the very end, downright unbearable. And I'll say, when I do assessments with organizations, when I get to doing staff interviews, you have a variety of ways to ask these questions. A question that I like a lot is, on a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being, it's an obstacle at every point of your day, and 10 is you really can't imagine how it could be improved. You ask, how well does your technology support you in the work that you're doing for your organization? It's an interesting way to ask that question. Those of you can, and we'll give you some tools. You can go ahead and even ask your own staff questions. Okay, so I guess this makes sense. Only one person, smooth sailing all the way. We do have a decent number that are happy enough with no complaints, and the vast majority is falling, unfortunately, into the predictably unpredictable, and it hurts. And unfortunately, I feel very bad. Whoever put downright unbearable, I feel the pain, and hopefully we'll give you some tips and tools today to cover that. Here we are in March of 2021, and it has been a trip, right, since a year ago this time. So we already had this state, and I'm sure everybody hears it in every other way, that technology is core to everything we do, that every organization to a greater or lesser degree is a technology company at this point. And the pandemic certainly threw that into sharp relief for many organizations, where any gaps that you had in your ability to kind of scale your technology and support a remote workforce and provide flexibility to staff in terms of the types of devices that they worked on, in terms of the networks that they connected from, in terms of the hours that they worked, in terms of the ways that they collaborate with one another, whether it be via Zoom or Slack or Microsoft Teams or none of those things. That was a real difference maker for some organizations, some that are still struggling in terms of managing remote work and supporting that workforce in a secure and reliable way, and some who made that transformation quite easily because they were already very cloud-based. But one thing that we know for sure, and this is a line I've kind of been saying a lot these days, is that there's a lot that's unknown in the world, but I would say there's two things that I feel really confident telling everybody about the state of work in relation to being in offices, not in offices, and remote work. Number one is that we are not going back to the way things were. It's just not happening. With all the changes that have happened around remote work and Zoom and virtual conferences and all of these things, there's zero chance that when everything opens up and everybody can do what they want, that people are going to go back to working in offices and traveling for business meetings the way that they were. That's not happening. The other thing I know is that once we can get together in person and work together in offices easily without masks and without fear of contracting diseases that are scary, then we are not going to work the way that we are today, that we're going to change, and there's going to be some new way that people work. And I would even add to that it's going to be different, that we're going to see lots of experimentation, lots of people trying different methods of hybrid environments, of people coming in 2 days a week and working from home 3 days a week, or coming in offices half days, or flexible work schedules, and all of these things. And the other thing that I know is that the technology has to be able to support all of this flexibility. It is the core to everything you're doing. Almost everybody that's joined this webinar today, probably the first thing you did when you started working was you opened a computer and logged into something. And the last thing you do when you shut down your day is log out and close, the flip on your laptop, or shut down the computer, or turn off the monitor. It's literally the funnel through which all of our work flows is through this digital landscape that we live in, for better or for worse, right? And so being able to support that and leverage the technology that's there in a meaningful way is absolutely critical to the future of work. And a model that we've been using at Roundtable for a long time, and I want to be very clear that we did not invent this. This was from a 2008 academic paper around IT viewed through Maslow's hierarchy. But for those of you not familiar with it, this is the original Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. The idea here being, for those of you not familiar, that if I, as a human being, don't know where my next meal is coming from, don't have a place to sleep, don't have the basics to live, then there's very little else that I'm worrying about. I'm worrying about those physiological needs if I don't have those met. If I have those met, then I'm going to worry about the security. Is my home safe? Is my person safe? Are the people I love safe? And do I have security in terms of, will I continue to have food? Will I continue to have shelter, right? As I start to become more secure about that, then I can start focusing on my relationships, on friends and creating relationships and family and things like that. And then as we continue going up, the very top of the pyramid is this idea of self-actualization. So this is something made famous by the psychologist Philip Maslow, and been around for a long time. So in 2008, a couple of researchers wrote this paper about the same principles kind of applying to IT in a similar way. And if you think about the bottom of this pyramid, infrastructure and connectivity needs, if you don't have a workstation that you trust will work, that you can open up, turn on, and you'll be able to log into it, you'll be able to connect to a network, you'll be able to access the documents and communications that you need to join this webinar, to type in the chat, to talk to someone on the phone, to do all those things, then it's very hard to do the other work, as all of you know. And your computer stops working, you're kind of, now I'm just working on fixing my computer. If my internet goes down, I'm working on getting my internet back up, right? And as you move up, we have stability and security, cybersecurity, making sure my information is safe, I'm not going to get hacked, that I have access to support when it's needed, that when I have problems, I can trust that they'll be fixed. And then we move up where we get into integrated information, where we start talking about, we have all these siloed databases and applications that we use. We can't get the reports we want. We can't answer questions that we need answers to in order to inform decisions that are critical to our organization's success. And even that level, that third tier that you're seeing there, gets kind of aspirational maybe for a lot of folks that may be here today, because we find that that's where a lot of organizations are struggling. And so as you get to next generation IT, right, where it's taken as table stakes that those bottom two tiers are met, right? That we're not really worrying a lot about these infrastructure and security. We've got those covered. Yes, we have to do them. Yes, stuff's going to break. We're going to have to address them. But day to day, these are not the things we're worrying about. Then we can begin to focus on these higher tiers in this next generation IT. So when we talk about IT 2.0 or the modern technology, which we'll talk about as we go today, these are the things we're talking about. Yes, we're still fixing broken stuff. Yes, we're still making sure that, if someone gets a new computer when they need one. Yes, we're still reviewing our cybersecurity, but where we're focusing is on delivering strategic value to the organization, right? It's fundamentally about identifying what are questions that people in our organization have. How can we leverage technology and information to answer those questions? And how can we automate processes and improve the ways that our people collaborate with one another in order to enable these higher level needs, okay? And when we get way up at the top, and this is aspirational for most of us, I will imagine, although if anybody here has an example of where your organization or organization you've worked at has kind of done something that you would consider to be top of the pyramid, I would love to hear about that in the chat and give us whatever information you have. But examples that you may be familiar with would be Charity Water, which is an organization that leveraged technology to really deliver services and create transformation in countries and with people where that was just a tremendously powerful human need, and leverage technology to do that in ways that were completely different to what anybody was doing at the time. And the Ice Bucket Challenge, which I'm guessing most of you have heard of, with the ALS Foundation, that leveraged the idea of kind of viral videos and crowdsourcing and creating a common movement that utilized video and which was a bunch of technology that all existed already. They didn't create any new technology. It's really important to understand that innovation on this level does not require you to hire a bunch of developers and become a .com startup and get venture funding and all of these things. It's about taking existing technologies and combining them with your, quote unquote, special sauce, the things that your organization really does differently than other people, the personalities that you have, the tools that you have, but taking the existing technologies that are out there and saying, hey, how can we use these in creative ways that really produce something that's totally new, that that helps us deliver our mission and achieve that in a big way, right? That's paradigm shifting. And when you get to the top of the level, that's the kind of thing you can do because you have all of that foundation, literal foundation of the pyramid right underneath you. I'll take a pause to see if anybody has questions, comments in the chat. I see a bunch of us now, and I'm checking the participant numbers to see we've got some late arrivals. So welcome to any of you, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. And if we don't have any questions, I'll truck along. All right, so it's important to understand, how can you assess? A lot of people may ask, how do I know where my opportunities for improvements are? How do I benchmark my organization, understand whether we're doing this well in terms of our data or our cybersecurity, or how we're governing our technology, or how our IT support is functioning? There's a number of assessment tools out there. N10, the organization I mentioned at the beginning, they have a tool called Accelerate, which is free for nonprofit organizations and actually private sector too, but it's free to use, that does an assessment and gives you some recommendations. There's lots of other tools that you can find out there. We have been developing over many years our own set of tools, and you can find those at surveys.rtt.nyc. We have a number of surveys that are free to the public. For example, you'll find, if you go to that page, a work from home self-assessment. So we created that shortly after the pandemic so that folks could answer 12 quick questions and get a quick report telling them some areas where they could improve the security of their work from home situation. And we have ones there. One that you could look at for a kind of broad assessment is our health checkup, which is about a 30-question survey that you might need some other people at your organization to help you complete. But all of those are free to use. They'll shoot you an email with a link to a findings and recommendations report that's customized based on your responses and can give you a good benchmark. And because we've had hundreds of organizations that have used our assessment tool, you'll notice that in this executive report, which is pictured here on the page, you'll see your score, which I hope will be, higher than this on a particular question that you answered, and then the average of all the hundreds of organizations that have taken the score. And you could, it's not the be all end all, take it with a grain of salt for sure, because this is self-reported information, but at least it gives you some kind of sense of where your organization might be at relative to other organizations that have taken these surveys. And that can be useful in prioritizing the work that you'll do. So again, the images that these two, sorry, let me get my annotate tool up again. These two images here are straight out of the findings and recommendations report that you'll get. This is the N10 Accelerate, and I think this is from that as well. It's just a different screen. But Kim, maybe if you could drop that in the chat or let me know what that, I forget what that middle image is. All right, but let me clear that. But there's lots more out there, but obviously we think our own tools are excellent. Again, totally free. And the N10 tools are another one that we do like a lot. You can certainly find many, many more out there. And I'd like people to drop in the chat for me what you think of when you hear the words help desk, or whether you hear that as one word, help desk. What do you think of when you hear help desk? Do you have like a positive connotation to that right away? Do you have a negative connotation? Do you think of some grumpy IT person on the other side? So Christine puts being on hold. Yeah, that is not an exciting one. Taking a long time, long wait. All right, these are, there's a theme developing here when we think help desk. Tickets from Don. So these are all great contributions. Rachel indicates can be very helpful if I know how to put the question in their language. That's a really important point, Rachel. So it can be difficult. Trudy is saying a last resort, which makes me really sad. right? That contacting a help desk is so onerous and unfruitful for you that you literally view it as a last resort. Jimena, if I'm pronounced, I apologize if I'm not saying your name correctly, or Jimena, constant back and forth. So unfortunately, I will say I'm surprised at the overwhelming negative nature of how people view a help desk. And I'm saddened by it. It should not be the case in 2021. It is absolutely possible to have, and I can say for a fact, and not to call out Wendell here, but Wendell, who's responsible for IT at Prospect Park Alliance, I can guarantee you, if there were staff at the Prospect Park Alliance here, their comments would be extraordinarily positive about the experience that they have when they need a help desk. And so a lot of it depends on the people that are delivering that service. But unfortunately, the overwhelming comments in the chat are that it's not easy to get help. It takes a long time. It requires a lot of back and forth. If I don't know exactly how to frame my question, my discombobulator is throwing up an error of 96NG, right? Then if I can't speak that language, then the technician's just not gonna be able to, that's unfortunate and definitely not what I think you should be experiencing. So let's think about what a high functioning IT support really, really does look like. So when you need to make that help call, as our friend here in the GIF, you can be confident that there will be someone on the other end of that call that can help you, can speak your language and isn't going to make you speak their language, and isn't going to make you wait a long time. All right. Going back to Maslow's hierarchy and thinking about our plant here, you can also think about like the duck, swimming furiously on the pond, but looks really calm on the surface, right? That's what you kind of want to think of as IT, which is that the infrastructure, the roots are all taken care of, and you're not thinking about them day to day. So in general, your computer turns on, you connect to your network, you log in, you access your resources, all that stuff just works, and you take for granted that it works. And the majority of help desk calls that you're doing aren't like, this is broken, I can't get it to work, but are, hey, I'm doing this thing and it feels really manual and time consuming. Is there a better way for me to achieve this task? That's the kind of help desk call. Or, hey, even more aspirational, right? I'd really like a dashboard that would give me information from these two different data systems so that I can review these reports in real time. Is that possible, right? Like, can you imagine a help desk that could deliver information services to you? That would be, pretty astounding, right? So high functioning IT isn't just about taking care of that infrastructure. It's about solving problems for people so that you, the folks that have all of these incredibly important missions, can focus on the important work of your mission, right? And that the technology is not only not an obstacle to you because it's working and it's doing what you need, but at various times, the technology is presented to you as a solution and as an enhancement, as something that can help you do the work in new ways, different ways, better ways, all of those good things. That's what modern IT support really should look like. So traditional IT support, and unfortunately, I think what many of you are experiencing, this is from the wonderful British show, the IT Crowd, which is not our model of what IT should look like, but unfortunately, I think is the stereotype of what IT often does, and unfortunately seems to be what many of you are experiencing based on your comments in the chat. And what it really should be is this idea of this absolute high-end customer service, again, here to solve problems for you, not to make you feel like you're bothering somebody, right? But that they're here to serve you and to help you perform your important work in a better way, right? That's really what it should be. And you have to have trust, right? Unfortunately, not demonstrated very well here. But the three things make help desk great, right? Trust, and more trust. And what do we mean when we say trust? Well, one, that when you need help, they're going to be there. So all the things about a long wait, not there, I can't, do, it's going to be back and forth, it's going to be take a long time, right? No, you have to trust that they're going to be there and they're going to be responsive, that they're going to stay informed about current technology, so that you don't have to do all the work of staying informed and Googling everything and figuring out all the new stuff, that your help desk is doing that and can say, hey, yeah, there's this new tool that actually solves that problem really well for you. Oh yeah, look, you're doing all of your project management in Excel spreadsheets. I can totally see why that's frustrating. There's these great tools like Asana and Trello and Basecamp that actually do this really well, that, by the way, are free or inexpensive for nonprofits. Let me show you how these work, right? That's what you want, right, in an IT service. Can help you make strategic decisions using tools like these surveys and assessments, understanding what your organization is trying to achieve, understands your organization, knows your people, knows your culture, knows your mission, knows your infrastructure, and can, is immediately knowledgeable about those things when you're talking to someone, and prioritizes, especially if it's an external IT partner like a Roundtable. You really want to make sure that your outsourced IT provider or your vendors are prioritizing the best interests of your organization and not their own bottom line. And in my work as a virtual chief information officer, for those of you who may not know what that is, essentially for organizations typically in like the 100 to 1,000 staff person ranges, they're not big enough to have like a C-suite role of a chief information officer or a chief technology officer, someone who's responsible for the overall technology at the organization. So they'll typically have like an IT department that might have 1 or 2 or 5 people. And then they're being supervised by, let's say, the CFO or the COO, which is a role that the organization has. So the VCIO is I'll partner with those organizations, and I'll be working in coordination with the executives and the IT department to try to deliver services at a really high level, to try to teach the IT department how to, do the kinds of things we're talking about in this session, and to help the executives understand what they should expect from their IT department, what information to ask for, what service levels that are reasonable to ask for, what training and professional development their department needs in order to really provide the services that will ultimately serve the organization. And when I'm in that role, I'm dealing with a lot of their vendors, and it becomes very clear to me what vendors are just trying to sell them things that they don't need, and what vendors are actually trying to solve problems for them, because not all vendors are just out there trying to sell stuff. Many vendors, have really great products or services, and they're trying to find matches and saying, hey, we can help you solve those problems. So understanding that difference and making sure that your vendors are prioritizing your best interest is really, really important. All right, we're going to watch a short little video, all right, just to give me a break and kind of change the texture for you a little bit. And this is, we have done for a while these things called 2-minute trainings. And I have this from presentation literally like 10 years ago, this idea of the true cost of a slow computer, and a bit of math that I would run through to explain to people, who have a 7-year-old computer that staff is using, they don't want to replace it, what that's really costing your organization. So this video is our, 2-minute training take on that. So I'm just going to play that to give you a sense of the value, the return on investment for infrastructure for your organization with some fairly basic math. Hi, I'm Joshua Peskay, and this is a 2-minute training on the true cost of a slow computer. It's hard to set aside the money to buy new computers when the existing computers that you have are still working. But are those computers really working? Let's do the math. Let's take Maria. She's a full-time employee for your organization, and let's say she's earning $50,000 a year. That equates to roughly $25 an hour. Maria's computer is 6 years old, and it's gotten a bit slow. Maybe not horrible, but slow enough, and it freezes from time to time, and she has to restart it once or twice a day. Let's say this slow computer is costing Maria just 15 minutes of downtime a day. A normal full-time employee will work 260 days a year. That's 3,900 minutes a year, and that's 65 hours
of lost productivity. That equates to roughly $1,625 in lost productivity each year for Maria. And that's if she's earning just $50,000 a year. If she's earning $75,000 a year, her lost productivity is costing your organization nearly $2,500 each year due to that simple, slow computer. If you're a nonprofit organization, you can get refurbished new computers from TechSoup for as little as $400. If you're not a nonprofit organization, or if you prefer to buy brand new computers direct from the manufacturers, new computers can still cost as little as $600 to $800. Let's say we buy a $1,000 new computer for Maria. Well, we're still in positive return on investment or positive ROI within 8 months. And she's going to use that computer for a minimum of 3 years. These financial numbers only take into account the literal lost time on productivity. It doesn't take into account morale loss because of poor technology, which is actually a significant factor in employees leaving organizations. And the cost of employee turnover is exponentially higher than that productivity loss. So do the right thing. Invest in technology to help your personnel do their jobs at their highest capacity. This has been a 2-minute training from Roundtable Technology.
All right. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. And for those of you who haven't, done any of that math before or thought about that, I hope that you find that persuasive as a means of investing in a very basic level in the functionality. And you can think of like those, those workstation losses and things. So if you don't have access to a help desk, right? If you don't have access to a great IT person where your staff can get help to solve problems when they need it, then the same thing is happening, right? They're losing these little 10-minute, 15-minute, half an hour, 30-minute periods of productivity periodically, and that is costing your organization revenue. Like, so investing in the right technology and the right support for that technology pays off in so many different ways for your organization, whether it's in staff retention, staff productivity, overall morale. Everything about your organization will improve if that stuff just works. The GIF here, which many of you have probably been watching as I've been kind of talking on about this, is how much has changed in your desk, in the last 20 years, right? So this is a GIF I thoroughly enjoy watching, where you notice that everything, and the reason we put it here is just to underscore this point of how important that computer has become. So, and it's happened kind of gradually for those of us, I'm well into my 40s. So for those of you of different ages, that desktop, we've had it for most of our working lives, but think of how important it is now when it's basically one of 3 things that are on our desk, right? A computer and a phone and maybe some sunglasses or a glass of water, whatever you got there, right? It's literally almost the only tool you have to do work with. So it's so important. And yet people underinvest not only in the device itself, but in the support that surrounds that device. It's just so critical. And then of course we got into 2020, and we have all these different indications of where gaps in technology basically cause people to not be able to roll or even to become memes. And I do want to give just a tremendous amount of credit. I forget the person's name, but the lawyer who this happened to, the "I'm not a cat" meme, took it in such good humor and ultimately was, as far as I could see, not shamed, in any way. Everybody took it as good humor, total professional person. And this can happen to any of us, right? If we don't understand the technology we're using, and that only is going to be more and more and more because technology keeps changing so fast. So old IT is focused on this, the bottom parts of the pyramid, the lower parts, and you're constantly struggling to keep the lights on. And in a way, sometimes that can be a false sense of job security for either internal IT or outsourced IT providers, because it's like, hey, if stuff's always breaking, you have to keep calling us, and I'm really important and needed because you can't even get through a day without calling me because your stuff's broken. if that's the focus, if that's the state you're in and you think your IT, resources are fantastic because they're always really responding quickly to things that are constantly breaking, that's not really where you want to be. Great that they're responsive, but not great that things are breaking. The new IT, right, is taking care of those bottom tiers, but is really spending a lot of time with you on those upper tiers of the pyramid. They're helping you think about how you use information, how you can better leverage data to make organizational decisions, how you can leverage technology to improve processes, to improve staff productivity, to work not only produce more output, but have smarter output for your organization. They're helping you with all those things. They're identifying, again, just one example. Oh, you don't have any project management platforms. Maybe you didn't know they existed. Maybe you didn't know they were free or very low cost. Well, hey, let's introduce you to some of those and help you think about adopting them, right? And I think this is a great phrase from a book called The Information Technology Paradox by Martha Heller. Which is, how can IT be cost efficient and stick to proven and safe solutions while also innovating and taking risks? Because nonprofits, don't have limitless budgets to invest in R&D and research. And so it's really great when it's both cost effective and great at solving problems, and finding that kind of magical balance is really, the secret, so to speak, of getting all this done. And while every organization is unique in a variety of respects in terms of the work that you do, the size of your organization, the constituents that you work with, the nature of your staff, and everything else that's going on, we all have the I'm on a budget issue, right? No one in the nonprofit world has unlimited budgets to do things. You're not, venture funded .coms that can just, burn through money at crazy rates. So you really do have to be cost effective with your technology. And that can cause you, unfortunately, as nonprofits, to make short-sighted decisions around technology investment. So the graph that we're looking at here is the idea of unmanaged IT, right, on the orange. Okay, and you see that that's, think of that as a roller coaster that you are riding, not only in your costs, your spending on IT, but also in the functioning of your organization. Because where you have this, maybe in February, you spent almost nothing on IT and think that's great. But then in March, something really bad happened. Maybe a server died. Maybe you had a massive cybersecurity breach. Maybe your executive director's email account got compromised, and lots of sensitive information. And all of a sudden, you're spending unplanned large amounts of money in a crisis, right? Because you weren't investing over here to mitigate this crisis in the first place. So what we see, if we go to this steady line, is this continuous investment, right, of IT, which not only winds up costing you a little bit less overall, but smooths the journey for you, right? So that you don't have this wild roller coaster of both expenses and of things working and not working and having crises. And I think that's difficult for organizations, I think, to think of taking on that cost in investment, whether that's in staffing or whether that's in working with an outsourced IT provider, but it is something that we really encourage people to do. And again, you saw this in the video, but technology laggard organizations, right, staff are leaving them. So you're not just paying in terms of the technology lost opportunities that you have and the frustrations of your staff, but now you're having higher turnover rates. So you're losing talented people. And who are the people that are leaving because the technology doesn't work well? Are those, the people that aren't trying to work really hard? No, those are the people that are trying to work really hard and are constantly frustrated because the organization isn't investing in the technology that they need. So they're like, you know what, I'll just go somewhere else. And of course, the peace of mind that you are doing things well, that you're using the right technologies for the needs you have, that the information that you're keeping on people is secure and backed up. You're not going to be the next front page story. You're not going to be victimized by a ransomware attack and actually have to be thinking about, paying a ransom. Like, all those things are going to be taken care of for you. All right, so Roundtable Complete, just to introduce you to our services as outsourced services. With Roundtable Complete, we're doing our best to provide all of these things to you, right? So 24/7 help desk that answers the phone when you call, right? A dedicated customer success manager, someone who's working to make sure that we understand your organization, that we are getting constant feedback about whether we're delivering the services that you need. We have the most advanced cybersecurity tools that are available and affordable to nonprofits. We're proactively monitoring all that, and we're constantly evaluating ourselves and working to improve our own organization. And every time we make an improvement, all of our clients get that improvement along with us, right? Because it's delivered to everybody. And that is Roundtable Complete. High functioning IT takes care of the technology and the people so that your organization can focus on your mission. That is what we live to do. And if you would like to continue this conversation, Kim will drop this link in the chat. You can get our free ebook, What to Pay for IT Support. You can sign up for a free Roundtable Complete assessment, and one of our wonderful staff will contact you. We'd be happy to give you a free assessment. And with that, I think we are at the end. I'll leave that up on the screen for a little bit, but we finished with plenty of time for questions if folks have them. And Christine, hey.
Thank you so much, Josh. That was perfectly on time. So well done, so engaging. Thank you. I do not see any questions in the chat. We do have a couple more minutes. I'll see if one pops in. In the meantime, I'll just say that this was so helpful to hear. You know, we do a lot of strategic planning and nonprofit sector strategies, and it all connects together. You cannot keep your operations going. You cannot keep achieving your mission, maximizing your mission impact if you don't have the full, you know, all the wheels turning, you know, together at your organization. So this was really, really helpful to hear. All right, well, I'm not seeing, oh, here's a question we can fit in here. Thank you, Myra. What does RTT assessment cover?
It's a good question. Nick may, if he's here, maybe he can in the chat. I actually am not the one who delivers those assessments at present, so I forget everything that's in it, but I believe that we have you fill out one of our assessment surveys where you get our current state, and then one of our strategic experts, Kim, myself, Nick, meets with your organization, reviews your responses, and discusses a strategic technology plan for your organization. All right.
Thank you. All right, we have another one we can take now. Yeah. Trudy, thank you. Says we work with a lot of grants which require competitive bidding. Do you guys provide services in purchasing software, et cetera, that would be, that would provide the competitive bid component?
Yeah, and Trudy, Nick is indicating he would be more than happy to meet with you and discuss that. And that could very well be something we could help you with. Where can people, Jimena, where can people who want to gain IT skills, great questions, keep them coming, by the way, go to gain? There are so many places, and it so depends on what kind of skills you want to pick up. The standard, Jimena, is CompTIA. CompTIA has, the training, all the certifications and all the things that, people who are looking for jobs in the IT industry go. In the nonprofit space, I mentioned Nonprofit Technology Enterprise Network. They have a nonprofit IT professional certificate program. I was actually a teacher in that program, teaching project management for about 5 years. So I can very highly recommend it. I know a bunch of the other instructors in that program, and they are terrific. So that's another place you can look. And Kim, I don't know if you are willing to grab the links and drop them in, but it's I believe it is the Nonprofit Technology Professional Certificate Program through N10. It's pretty low cost, and they have like 12 different courses that you can take. So that's another option. And TechSoup has all kinds of courses that are available through their learning center that are, again, geared toward nonprofit technology professionals. And so it just depends on where you want to go. Something that I think is phenomenal, Jimena, is Google has a free program that is the Google Support Engineer Certificate Program, which is free. It is pretty involved. It probably takes about 3 months to get through the entire course. And I took a lot of that just to explore it because I thought I might be recommending it to people. And I do think it's really excellent. So there's lots of really low cost and free stuff. Out of everything I mentioned, Jimena, there's not a single thing I would tell that's going to cost you or your organization over a few $100s, except for the CompTIA stuff, which is on the pricier side.
Great. And Roberta asks, do you work with very small nonprofits?
Yeah, so we will do projects for small nonprofits, and depending on how small you are, we can even do managed services for you. Again, reach out to Nick, and he will be happy to speak with you and figure out if we're appropriate. So we do projects for any sized nonprofit organization, and very small if you're like 1 or 2 staff, then managed services may not be the right fit for you. But we actually, believe it or not, have managed service contracts with, I think, more than one person organization where they said, you know what, that's right for us. We'll go ahead and do that. So, or right for me, I guess.
Wonderful. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in. We may be.
I'm going to do a quick Google and see if I can find the Google support certificate program, just because someone's asking for that in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Watch me Google here. All right. There it is, the Google IT Professional Certificate. This is the course. I believe this is the one, and I believe it is free. Yeah, enroll for free starting March 25th. That is it. So I'll drop that in the chat. That is quite a long link there. And I took it probably 2 or 3 years ago. I forget how long ago, so I don't know how much it's changed since then. Their cybersecurity section, which was great, was wow, that is a long link. I was really jealous of the title because it was Defense Against the Digital Dark Arts, and I was like, oh, I should have taken that title.
Thank you, Kim, for adding in the list of courses. It looks like, Nick, your email address is in demand. If you drop it into the chat, or we'll share it. You can find a way to get it from NRH, if not within.
We're really not hard to reach. If you go to our website, the contact us form is right there. Just fill it out, go get our ebook, and we're definitely not hard to get a hold of. So please reach out. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks again to the Nonprofit Resource Hub for having us, and we're so delighted to be a member and be introduced to your membership. And we look forward to many more things to come.
Thank you so much to Josh and his colleague Kim at Roundtable Technology for this engaging presentation. I'm supposed to give closing remarks here, so I'll just jump in to say thank you so much for staying on the webinar, for getting this good information. We will send out a survey to you. Please fill it out. It's really helpful for us to know if we're meeting your needs and how we can always improve. We'll also send out the recording, so if any of your colleagues who weren't on, if you couldn't get your IT person on and they need to hear this, you can get it in front of them. And also please visit nonprofitresourcehub.org for more information. And please, if you're not a nonprofit partner, please join our team as a nonprofit partner. Again, it's completely free. It takes no more than a minute to fill out the form online. And lastly, Danette O'Connell is our president, and she can be reached at doconnell@nonprofitresourcehub.org. And that's a double N and a double L, but like we said earlier, everything's on the website. So visit the website and reach out if you need anything. That's what we're here for. Thanks so much, everyone, and especially Roundtable Technology for your expertise today. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.